In this tutorial, we will talk about My Items tab. So this is where all the monitoring and the repricing happens of all the items of Amz-Scraper. Note that items will only end up here if they've been uploaded either individually or bulkly at the List or Uploads tab, or if there was an item that was in the lab that was uploaded as well. So once an item is uploaded, it will go to this section right here. And if we look at the top, the first thing it'll say is total items, and it'll show you the total items that you have. Next, it'll show you the tracked items. These are the total items that Amz-Scraper is tracking. Next, it'll show you the untracked items. So these are items that Amz-Scraper is not tracking. This could be for a couple reasons, but it's not a bad idea to look at this and see maybe the item wasn't uploaded correctly. Maybe like the website URL wasn't entered correctly when it was being uploaded. There might be other errors like, maybe the item, this dropshipping company stopped carrying the item anymore, and, the item just doesn't exist anymore, so it can't track the item. So just something to be aware of. And these are the items that are in stock in your store. So the total amount of items that are not out of stock but are in stock, because you could have items that are listed, total number of items here, but some of those items, right, Walmart might have sold out. We're going to use Walmart for an example. Walmart might have sold out of the item, so this shows you the total items that are being tracked. So it just kind of gives you a big picture overview, which is very, very nice, right? And these are pretty good numbers. Like, again, if if the untracked was 25, if you had 4,000 items in your store and 1,000 items were untracked, that might be an issue. If there's a few items, that's totally fine. The same thing might be true with in and out of stock. Let's say you had 4,000 items in your store, but half of those items were out of stock. Well, what that would show me is there might be something in I'd want to check the way I'm uploading the item, but maybe in my listing criteria, I need to go back and see what caused that. What caused me to list so many items that are out of stock? Is it just an error with the dropshipping company? Do I need to find a new dropshipping company? Do I need to find different metrics? It gives you data that you can use to either show that you're doing a good job or there might be room for improvement. Now, moving right along here, we have the status. Now, the status, there's going to be a bunch of things. The one active, which is a green check mark, this means that the item is being correctly monitored and repriced by Amz-Scraper, and that's what we want to see. Now, sometimes you'll see something like this, error listing the item. This could be because the item is gated. So that means like we can't list this item or we don't have permission to list this item on Amazon. You might see other things like you might see an hourglass. If you see an hourglass, that can mean that the item is in the process of finishing being uploaded, and it'll be uploaded in a few minutes, but it's kind of in a process of when it was uploaded from the lister tab to being fully, active here. There's other things as well, like if there's an eye, if you see an eyeball that's crossed out, that means that Amz-Scraper is not monitoring and repricing the item. And there could be a couple other things as well. Generally, I only have two here in this store that I'm running, but if there is anything in the status and you're not sure what it looks, you just hover the mouse over it. It'll tell you. It'll say inactive. It'll tell you error, or it'll could tell you something else. Next, we have the ASIN. We have the BSR, if it can pull the BSR. We have the title. And what we can do is we can open up the item. So like, if we, we right click and we, or maybe I just control, we can open up this exact item and we can see this exact item in Amazon, which is nice. The total quantity that you have. I set my quantity at 5. 5 or 10 is fine. And what will happen is I like to set my quantity at 5. And let's say I set the quantity at 5 and Amz-Scraper, when they go to reprice every couple hours, if I've sold 2 of the quantity, then if I've sold 2 quantity between the time it checked for repricing and the time it checks again. If the quantity is 5 and I sell 2 of them and it's now 3, when it does the whole repricing monitoring, it'll increase the quantity to 5 again. So just as a side note, this shows the selling price of the item, and it's got different data here. The source of the item, the stock of the item. This is the cost of the item, and if there's any shipping. So you can see right here, this is the cost of the item, and then this right here shows the shipping. So it's $5.99 for shipping. That's in parentheses. And then also we have 3 quantities. So that means that for this item, I have to buy 3 of these items from Home Depot to equal one order from Amazon. So it's good to know the profit percent. And then what we can do is we can get in, if we check the item. So if we click this right here, we can now kind of do a deep dive. So what we could do is we could edit the listing. If we hit edit the listing, we could change the shipping delay per item. If you want to change the shipping delay for all the items, you can do that in the settings, by the way. But if I just want to change the shipping delay for this one item, I could do it here. This right here is if I want to change the seller price, the markup, or any of these things, what we can do is if we click one, you see it'll change everything. So if we click one thing, all these other numbers will change. So if I want to make the profit, if I want to make the profit $150 profit, which generally you won't find, by the way, but I have had some pretty good profit items. But let's say you change the profit a little bit, it'll change the profit percent. So you can kind of manipulate this how you want to manipulate it. If you want the profit percent to be 25%, you change it to 25%. All these other prices will change as well. Next, we have the tracking. You could change the tracking here. Again, my standard tracking is 9.5%, so that's right that. If I didn't want to track it anymore, so if we change it like this and we hit save, then Amz-Scraper won't track this item anymore, which we don't generally want to do because we want Amz-Scraper to be calculating in and out of stock and price changes and all that. This is the source of the item, so we could change anything here. So this is good, especially, maybe there was an error in the bundle quantity. So this means that 4 of this item from Home Depot equals 1 order from Amazon. Well, maybe I put this in here wrong, and I put it in as 3 when it was really supposed to be 4, right? And I had a couple customers got the item. They were missing one of the items. I was like, why were they missing one? 2 customers both said they got 3 when really they were supposed to get 4. I find the item in Amz-Scraper and I'm like, oh, I made a little boo-boo here. It was supposed to be 3. Well, I just go ahead and up that to 4 and hit save changes and we're good to go. Here's notes. You can do the notes and of course variations. If there's any variations, we could put that in there as well. But that's that. We're not going to save any of that because all that's going good. Listing details. If we hit listing details, it'll basically kind of pull up a big picture, more detailed thing. So we have the ASIN, we have the item, basically just have everything. So it shows you everything, gives you some more stats. This will kind of show you any changes in history too. So like sometimes this can show like price changes. See, it says price change right here. So you can kind of get a history of what happened with the item, over a period of time. Price changes in and out of stock, thing like that. Again, you could toggle the tracking here. If we hit disable tracking, Amz-Scraper will stop tracking the item, so that's generally not what we want to do. We could hit delete the item, and that'll delete the item, and then we can hit go back right here. The other thing we can do is we could always go here, and we could hit more actions. We could toggle the tracking here. We could export it. We could save the lab if we want to move it to the lab. We could view the product. We could check the source now. So this will kind of in real time, maybe this item was out of stock and it just got back in stock, but this is like a super hot, popular item. So I don't want to wait an hour or two for Amz-Scraper to go out, and check the item from the source and then reprice it, even though it's just an hour or two. Maybe I want to do it right now, right? So I could hit check the source, and it will like instantly go and look at the dropshipping company and see if the item's back in stock and then make changes automatically. Again, you don't have to do this. Amz-Scraper essentially every couple hours is going out there and doing this for every single, they're doing all the repricing and doing all the in and out of stock for every single item you have here automatically anyway, but just something you could do if you kind of want to force it right away. And then of course, if you hit delete selected, this will, you can delete it from monitoring the only. So this will just remove it from the My Listings tab. Amz-Scraper won't monitor it anymore. If you hit delete from Amazon, Amz-Scraper won't monitor it anymore, and at the same time, they will delete it from Amazon. So we generally only do delete from Amazon because, I don't know if it's a bad item or whatever the reason is. If I want to delete the item, I want to delete it from Amz-Scraper, but I also want to not sell it in my Amazon store anymore, then you'd hit delete from Amazon. And that's that, guys. That is the My Items tab. And there's a couple other things. You could show more rows if you want. But that's basically everything you need for the My Items tab.